Ciao a tutti, everybody. Welcome to the Autodromo Enzo Adino Ferrari, and welcome to the penultimate race meeting of the season in the World GT Championship in association with Racehub and Simmortal. We return to Italy, a place where we've seen many famous World GT races in the past. Who could forget that crazy finish back in late 2017, where Dave Baker went from 5th to 1st in the space of a few corners. That was at Monza, and we're here at Imola today. 4.86 kilometers. 42 degrees track temperature. That is very hot, and we've got equal hotness in the studio. Alongside me, Adam Bath, we've got Chaz Draycott, and we've got our Racing World Championship driver Alex Simpson. Good evening, Chaz. I don't know where that came from, but we're here at Imola, and we're getting set for three 20-minute races in a series that you know well.
Yeah, I'll take that as quite the compliment, thanks, Adam. It's looking to be a good evening. It's a really good track for nice, close, compact racing, and these GT3 cars always throw up a nice mixture of results, and not even to mention the drivers that we've got in this field tonight. It's going to be an amazing thing to watch, so I'm really looking forward to this. There's a couple of guys, like you say, out there. I've raced with these guys before. Still kind of officially do race in this series, but not tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how people stick to their their personas and how we know how they drive and so on. There's a lot of talent and a lot of character in this series, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this a lot.
Championship standings going into this one with just 6 races to go. We've got 3 here tonight at Imola, and then we've got 3 more next week to decide the title. It looks like it's going to be heading the way of Nicole Foggy. At least those are the words of Josh Thompson anyway, after what happened last week, or 2 weeks ago I should say. The gap is now 183 points between them in standings, so you'd have to think it will take a monumentally disaster of an evening for Nicole Foggy for Thompson to pull that back. Dave Baker is in 3rd, then 20 points behind him it's Michael Evdoka, then Christian Rose, Johnny Brandon, Chris Wood in his BMW, then Richard Warming and Michael Blake and Miguel Freitas rounding up the top 10. Freitas the highest Audi. And then in the AM category it's Mark Woodhouse, who's doing pretty well in 2 AM championships, here in the World GT Series and in the BSR-TC on the Thursday. He's got a 22-point cushion over Adam Hedgecock. Simon Underhill, 98 points behind Woodhouse in 3rd, and then Rod of Moon's 4th, and then John Roberts in 5th. And then finally in the team standings, this is pretty close actually, as far as team standings go anyway, as you see the closing stages of the qualifying session on your screen. XVR Sim Racing have a 288-point cushion over CQR Racehub, and Team Mad 1 in 3rd. Savage with Boosted, the highest AM team, in 4th, and XVR Green bookending the top 5, the 2 XVR teams. Alex Simpson, good evening. World Championship driver, well, Road Pro Series champion as well. Imola tonight. What's going to be the main issues for these drivers tackling the circuit in these GT3 cars?
Actually, I think it'd be a really good car track combo. Good for racing for us as well. So we're going to enjoy some great battles out there. Good couple of overtaking opportunities, places where they can get that slipstream and do some outbraking. Some interesting chicanes, of course, really high curbs, so the drivers are going to have to have their setups, you know, to care to sort of handle those high curbs and try and avoid the pogo, things like that. So, yeah, a good combination, I think. You know, we've got some high speed, we've got some slow speed, so it's a bit of an engineer's nightmare to get this sort of mustered as far as the setup goes. And then, of course, it's a tricky track, a few awkward little off tracks, a few awkward curbs here and there. And like I say, yeah, some great opportunities to overtake. Really gonna spice it up for us.
I don't know if you saw any of the NASCAR at the Roval over the weekend, Chaz, but I think we've heard every name in the book for these sausage curbs. Sleeping Policeman. I think the people in NASCAR called them turtles after the curbs that they suffered at the Charlotte Roval on Sunday.
Yeah, I've not seen a massive amount of it, but I did see one very famous clip where there was something where 2 guys were battling for places in the playoffs or something, and someone comes around the last corner with an absolutely knackered car. One guy's stopped before the line, and he hits the wall on his way there or something. It's just baffling that they get themselves into these scenarios, but qualifying's just over here then. Saw Steve Baxter and Chris Wood posting some purple sectors then, so they should be far up the grid as it goes. It looks like they are at the moment, but pretty sure we'll have the grid any second if you would want to fly through it.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes left of the qualifying session. I know we usually bring up the grid once they start gridding up. Plus, we'll have a formation lap as well, so we'll have plenty of time to run through that. But we can run you through the provisional top 10, as I think that for the most part everybody has completed their laps. I think Mark Woodhouse has just put in a 1:42 to go 18th in the Small Time Racing car. There he goes. He's pulling over to the side of the road. Nicole Foggy then, currently on provisional pole. Josh Thompson in second, so it's the top 2 in the championship on the front row of the grid. And Dave Baker in third, making it the top 3 in the championship inside the top 3. And Michael Abdoka fourth and Christian Rose in fifth. So that is the top 5 in the championship, locking out the top 5 positions. In fact, it carries on. Johnny Brandon, 6th in the championship, starting 6th. And then we have a break in the norm. It's Chris Wood in 7th. Sorry, Chris Wood in 7th in the championship, but it's Steve Baxter starting 7th in the race. And then Richard Warming in 8th, Chris Wood 9th, and Bart Delman in 10th. So that's the state of play there. And a rolling start as well, Chaz. As far as I'm aware, I think we get the green lights where the start line is as opposed to where the timing line is. So that doesn't give the drivers too much room in terms of a run-up from the green lights into the Tamburello chicane.
No, it's going to be pretty compact by the time they get there. It depends how Nicol and Josh manage the gap once they put their foot down. So it'll might see a few incidents, people knocking into each other, but hopefully they'll try their best to keep it clean. As I believe we now have a grid.
Do have a grid, yeah, and we can run you through it as well. And Nicole Foggy then on the pole. Josh Thompson 2nd, Dave Baker 3rd, Michael Abdoka 4th, Christian Rose 5th. Johnny Brandon in 6th, as we were just saying, the top 6 in the championship, locking up the top 6 places on the grid. Steve Baxter 7th, Richard Warming in 8th. Then it's Chris Wood 9th and Bart Delman in 10th. 11th, Ben Gregory. 12th, Dion Phillips. Moving on back in 13th place, we've got Miguel Freitas in the Team Maz 1 car. Then 14th, we've got Steve Lavalley. First of the AM drivers in 15th, Mike Gray. Nate Simpson in 16th. Then Lane O'Connor in the XVR green car. That team fighting for the Pro-Am title along with Savage with Boosted. Then Mark Woodhouse in 18th place, Simon Underhill 19th, Pete Newman in the CQRS line car starting in 20th. 21st on the grid, Michael Blake. 22nd, Paul Smith. 23rd, Adam Hedgecock. Ronald Moons, the Belgian, starting in 24th. Then Jerome Kaiser, 25th. Stephen Burke in 26th for the Thrust Vector car. Nicolo Cuomo on home soil, starting in 27th place. And Jason Rowe, 28th. And then towards the back of the grid, we've got Lee Deemer in 29th. 30th for Paul Gosling. Josh Rayfield in the Northern Lights Racing car starting in 31st. Robert Lundgren 32nd. Lee Woodburn 33rd. John Roberts boosted SimSport car starting in 34th. And then Luke Clark bringing up the rear. 35 cars going to be going down that front straight, which we're looking at from the helicopter, in a few moments' time as we get the short formation lap underway, Chaz, as they are just about to roll off on the exit of the Variante Alta at the top of the hill.
Yeah, it's a very tense moment for the drivers, this. No matter how sort of experienced you are with racing around people the same caliber like these guys are, there's always that little bit of nerves just creeping in as you slowly roll towards the line. It's you just don't know what to expect. I mean, you've got all these guys around you that have all got different plans. Everyone wants different ways to attack it. So look back there, Dave Baker just spent the weekend with Dave at Brands Hatch. Absolute joy as always. So hopefully he'll get some good results tonight. But this man that we're on board with right now, Nicol Foggy, him and Josh are just going to go hammer and tongs at it, hopefully, as we've seen them do many times before.
The race hasn't even started, and Luke Clark's already picked up an off-track, I think. At least that's what it says on the timing anyway. Great view from the helicopter, as we're already trying to get overtakes done here. This is remarkable. We're 3 wide going down the front straight. This is because Nicol Foggy's got the pace going already, and the green lights are on, and we're racing here at Imola.
That was Michael Avdoka, I believe, getting a little bit eager there as Josh Thompson has kept the place because he backed out, obviously knowing that you can't overtake people before the line. Baxter and Johnny Brandon have dispatched him. Brandon actually going up 2 places, so they swapped either side of Christian Rose there as we see the field then filter through. It seems pretty single file all the way down. Can't see anybody out. Actually, Jeroen Kaiser is out of the race apparently. He's dropped right down to the back of the order, unfortunately. Looks like there's a couple of people changing places in the midfield, but no massive movers. Biggest mover for a second there was Steve Burke, but he's actually gone down a place. Lee Deemer is up 4 places already. Going to obviously be willing Steve on. Lee Deemer's up to a 5th position now. As that's Ben Gregory down the order. He's flying down.
Yeah, you could see from the camera on the exit of Tosa, he was all sorts of out of shape. But as we now fly down the hill and into Aquina Minerali, it's Johnny Brandon that's having to do some defending from Dave Baker. Brandon sat in 3rd position. His teammate Nicol Foggy is away at the front. And as we look at these cameras now, going into the Variante Alta at the top of the hill, looking here at that is our leader Nicol Foggy, already breaking up to an 0.8 of a second lead. going to be interesting to see how the BMW can deal with the slipstream, because a track like Tamburello, a track like Imola, Chaz, the run out of Ravazza is going to be key. You want to get him moved on into the Tamburello chicane, but right now the gap stands at 3/4 of a second as we come around to complete the opening lap.
Yeah, Josh is going to be really pushing hard around here. He knows how to control that beamer, but it can be a bit of a pig to try and get out the corner sometimes. It's either really understeery or really oversteery, so it depends how he's got it dialed in. But if you know Josh, it's probably dialed to the oversteer at the moment. If you look at Brandon then, with 2 CQR Racehub cars and Baker and Rose behind him, Brandon up 3 places at the moment, starting 6th on the grid, now up to 3rd. Dave is obviously down 1 position to 4th, but he was alongside Josh and Adoka over the line as it all kicked off before the lights even went green. Nickel and Josh are actually trading purple sectors at the moment. Nickel's got, actually sorry, it's sectors 1, 3 and 5 for Josh, and sectors 2 and 4 are purple for Nickel, so very evenly matched it seems, but Nickel's obviously just putting in a little bit more in each one.
Got a great view on board here with Dave Baker in the CQR Racehub car. You can see the rev counter on the right hand side. We're going to soar past 200 kilometers an hour as we go over the Piratella, back down to 3rd gear, clipping that inside curb, and the Mercedes just washing out onto the AstroTurf on the exit, defending almost thin air there really as we go into Aquin and Minerali. So hard to slow the car down without locking the brakes as you're trying to turn through these 2 90-degree right-handers and then back up the hill again. And the Ferrari looking pretty strong so far in the early stages. It's all the case about trying to get past this XVR Sim Racer car, and Johnny Brandon sat in 6th in the championship, really trying to do everything he can to try and help XVR Sim Racing's cause us. Wide on the exit goes Michael Evdoka, not Michael Evdoka, it's the car in front of him. That's Steve Baxter in the Savage boosted car. Evdoka that had a poor start after jumping the start, has a drop back, is getting those positions back, and that's one of them already. Chaz, he's through into 6th, Baxter's down to 7th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stephen might have got a small slowdown for that actually. He seemed quite slow off the exit. Yeah, he is getting out of the way. He ran wide because he turned it in quite hard to the right and the tail came around on him. So when he obviously corrected it and straightened up, it just put him on the exit. As we see Chris Wood now trying to get involved with, who was that? Is that, it's Dion Phillips, isn't it, in front of him?
It is, yeah.
My timing screen just frozen there, I'm really sorry. He's got Steve Lavalli behind him then, Nate Simpson behind that as well. He's gained 4 places so far, but Chris is really piling the pressure on now in his BMW, but that Mercedes is a big old boat, so it's going to be difficult to get around it. I know from following too many of these things in the past that it's difficult to actually see the apex of corners when you're following it. It is that big of a car, but that helps it out. Obviously, it can shift its weight around really well.
You were following them. I was probably crashing into them on the exit of Tosa we go then. I think I was probably crashing into my McLarens. I think Alex knows about that. Over the top of it. Oh, speaking of crashes, there's a car off, and it's one of the boosted cars, I think. It's Savage boosted. It's Robert Lundgren, the Swede. Big damage to the rear of that car after going off backwards on the exit of the Vilna chicane, and that has got his work cut out right from the get-go. I believe you do have a fast repair in this series, so if he does have the wheels out of kilter, should be able to get back to the pits and get a new car, get on his way as we return to the battle for 13th place as Mark Woodhouse, one of the YAM leader, doing some defending from Simon Underhill, who sits in 3rd in the YAM Championship.
Yeah, Simon's really good at piling the pressure on. He came into the series at the beginning of this season, and as soon as we saw that turquoise and yellow Audi show up, or green, whichever you want to say if you want to argue the point, he was always putting the pressure on me and the other Thrust Vector boys, so we knew that we had to either dial in the Audi a little bit better or just get better. And yeah, he's just always been consistent. He's really good with his close racing, but so is Woodhouse. So it's going to be hopefully a race-long battle between these guys, because I know they're both good at attacking and both good at defending, so it may balance out nicely. As we see the times on the left end and obviously the cars, you can see the only 2 sort of successful Ferraris so far are Baker and Rose. The CQR Racehub team doing a great job at making that car do its thing all season long, and they did it the year before and the year before that. This right now though, you saw Simon close in on the brakes, but I think his line was a little bit compromised by obviously the fact that he was closed up to Mark so much. Closing again on the brakes. But that BM, it's probably got the exit on. Simon actually goes wide there. He's got to be careful now because Miguel Freitas behind him, and then behind that they've got Lane O'Connor for XVR. Nice little train of cars this. Onto the back of that as well is actually Michael Blake. Also met Michael on the weekend and saw one of his models in the flesh, and let me tell you that those things are absolutely outstanding. So if you like your iRacing cars enough to have a physical model made of them, get them done by Michael, because they are unbelievably detailed and they just look like the real thing. So it's nice to have that memento. As we ride now on board Miguel Freitas then, the beautiful V10 Audi sounds. I can imagine that's quite a difficult corner actually, Acqua Minerale, because you've got to turn and maintain the oscillation as you actually put your foot down. It's sort of, there's a lot more dimension to it, isn't there, than a normal corner.
It's uphill on the exit as well, so it's going to be always difficult to put the power down. A few seasons ago, that Audi was winning championships in this series with Carl Janssen. Now the highest Audi is down in 15th. You would have noticed at the bottom of the screen that Pete Newman came into the pits of his own accord at the end of the previous lap. I believe he's back out on the circuit, but problem there for Newman, who was running up inside the top 10, had qualified pretty well. But you can now see the battle for the lead, and you can see by the lap times as well that Josh Thompson is a-coming. He put in the fastest, a new personal best on that last lap, 41.2, which was half a second quicker than Nicole Foggy on that previous lap. And now the BMW, now that it's got its tyres up to temperature, starting to come into its own a bit now as you get the track map on the screen and see the gap starting to form out. And you can also see whereabouts the Pro-Am drivers are as well in relation to the pros. Pro being the white, the Pro-Am drivers being the red and white. We'll be able to see that as long as we have that track map up on screen. But for now, this battle for the lead, it's the class of the field at the moment. Foggy and Thompson 3.5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field as going to Acqua Minerale again 7 minutes into this opening 20-minute race.
Yeah, he's really putting the pressure on now, is Josh. He's actually set the fastest first sector of the race, despite that little slide that we saw as he came out the first chicane. Into there, that's a really important part. He really launches the car through there, though, running out quite wide. I'm not really 100% sure what the off-tracks are like when you run out wide there, but I imagine, judged on how people are running it, that it's not that strict. You can see the gap on screen now, then obviously in a straight line, slightly coming down. Josh will have obviously just sort of got used to this car throughout practice. I mean, he's got used to it throughout the whole season, but every track you go to, you need to sort of relearn the BMW because it, like I said before, it can be very oversteery at certain sections and understeery at others. It's a bit of a pig, but Foggy controlling the pace at the moment. It's just that Josh is slowly reeling him in. You've got to think that Johnny Brandon, his teammate, will try and help him out at all, but I don't think there is much Johnny can do. I mean, you've seen what the gap's like. He's going to be defending from Baker and Rose as well. As we say that, they're actually within 0.2 of a second of each other. You can just see them enter in the first corner there. Baker right on the back of him now.
See as well that Michael Evdoka put in a new personal best. This is the battle for best of the rest then. In third, fourth, fifth and sixth is Branton, Baker, Rose and the aforementioned Evdoka. Alex, just to bring you in, I think you probably know the answer, but which of these GT3 cars is the best over the curbs? Because you've got to use them at this circuit.
Yeah, actually, it's not too bad. I mean, the Merc is very sort of, it's comfortable going over big curves, but the Ferrari's not too bad either, to be fair. So Audi probably the worst. BMW's okay as well. So I'd say those three are very comparable. The Audi's the one that's going to struggle the most, I feel, today.
See how Branton can hold on then with these curbs. That he's doing a good job of defending for now. Branton up 3 positions since the start of the race. Helped, of course, by Evdoka bolting a bit before the green lights went on. I don't know whether he was assuming, we did mention it, that the green lights come on just before he crossed the start line rather than the timing line. And he had to drop back a few positions as a result, but we now have a Merc Ferrari sandwich. Brandon and Evdoka at the top and tail of this battle, and Baker and Rose the meaty prancing horses in the middle. And we'll see if Baker can get the job done this time. He's taken a bit of a tighter line going through the first of the Rivazzas. Now on the exit, Brandon running a bit wide, and great view from the helicopter here as we go through the right-hand kink, past the bike chicane on the left-hand side. There's the timing line. I think Michael Evdoka might have thought it was the start line. There's the start line as we go under the lighting gantry. Baker is closing, looking to the outside, but Brandon just about late enough on the brakes to stop himself going wide, and now he's on the back foot a bit as we go through Tamburello and towards the Villeneuve chicane. Forecast scrap is anyone's game with still half of the race to go.
Yeah, it's going to become a bit of mind games this really, because obviously Baker and Rose will be thinking, let's go forward, let's attack Brandon. But the closer that Evdoka gets into this now, it's going to shift rearward in terms of what you're going to focus on. So Dave needs to get the move done. He needs to try and get past Brandon. He's obviously showing that he's quicker than him at the moment, putting the pressure on. But he just needs to get the move done. Otherwise, Evdoka's going to really start pressuring Christian. Obviously, he's going to be telling Dave about that. Dave's focus will shift rearward, and yeah, it might affect all of them, and Johnny might be able to get away. So, like you say, just under half the race to go, so there's time for this to develop. But one mistake could change it all, and hopefully it doesn't come from Brandon, because he's keeping it on the podium at the moment.
Especially if you're at the front of the field, because you're just going to be providing a tow for pretty much everybody if you're behind. So this first race as well is pretty crucial in terms of getting the points on the board. It's the same with the BSRTC on the Thursday. You get your qualifying, you get to set a time, and the position you get on the grid is equivalent to your pace, and therefore you want to make the most of where you are on the grid, because reverse grids that we've got race 2 and race 3, they can be a lottery, and somehow you'll end up finding yourself at the back of the grid if we have a superly big reverse grid. So we'll wait and see with that one. That'll be coming up at the end of the first race and at the end of the second race as well. Over the line we go then onto lap 8. 42.5 for Brandon, 42.4 for Baker. Baker looking to the inside into the Tamburello. He's got it, up the inside, through he goes. Just about makes the apex for the second part of the chicane. Brandon getting forced out wide now onto the grass. This is going to allow Christian Rose the opportunity to swoop round the outside, free wide now as they hit. Evdoka and Brandon collide. Looks like not too much damage to either car there. They hit again, and it's off this time for Johnny Brandon. Put up the defence for 8 laps, just over half the race, Chaz, and eventually when push came to shove, the XVR Sim Racing Mercedes is off in the gravel at the Villeneuve chicane.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that was all Brandon's fault there. Obviously, he went out wide there. Great evasive driving. He did well not to let it wash out too wide here. I think just as Rose comes on, he tags him there. There's a little bit of contact with Evdoka, but then Evdoka just keeps it down the inside. I just don't think Johnny gives him the room, though, to be fair, by the look of it. I would have said there was a car's width there, so it's whether Evdoka just sort of innocently slid wide into him. I know that Michael doesn't like to make contact, but he's... well, I don't think anyone does, do they? But I don't think he sort of put it down the inside out of malice because there was already contact. It might have just been maybe one of the curves, one of the turtles, as we mentioned before, pushing him wide into him. As we look now at Warmingham, he's under right pressure from Chris Wood. Chris really improving since his first days in the club series, we all know that. Right on the tail of him now. Might get enough slipstream just down the hill to put it down the inside. Warmingham going defensive then as they go into the left-hander. Ahead of them is Bart Daleman. Wood looking for the cutback. We saw Ash Sutton use that a lot of times on the weekend, and it seemed to work for him. But now there's another straight, bit of curb hopping and grass track in there for Warmingham, but he seems to have put a bit of a gap on Chris now. You've got to think that he might be safe going down into turn 1.
See this time then as they come across the line. BMW right in the slipstream of the Mercedes. Warmingham defending from Chris Wood. Usually see him in an Audi, Chris Wood, but this year he's in the BMW. Pretty good run on the exit there. We saw in the previous lap how difficult it is for 2 cars to go side by side through the Villeneuve chicane, because it filters all the way down there. And Bart Daleman doing a pretty good job in 6th place as well. You can see from the timing tell on the left-hand side that he's gained 4 places. Now we've got the intervals as well, so you can see which cars are closest to each other in this field. You can see there, big spread between Evdoka in 5th and Daleman in 6th. 4.7 seconds between Evdoka's Merc and Daleman's Merc for Piratella. And now here is the battle for a bit further down the field. This is Josh Rayfield in 26th place. And 25th place is Ronald Moons, which is the Simmortal car just in front. And this could be crucial in terms of the reverse grid, and he's gone off.
Yeah, I think Josh put him under pressure there by putting the nose down the inside, and he's done it himself there. He's taken himself out of contention. Has passed him go to the Savage cars with John Roberts there in the boosted Ferrari as well. But yeah, I'd say Josh just sort of sold him the dummy there, and Ronald just went out wide and off he goes.
Guess going again in 30th. Don't know how far the reverse grid wheel goes down to, but it might still be a shout there as we check back on the battle for 7th place. Well, no, that 6th place actually is Bart Daleman. We look from the rear wing or on top of the car as we go across the line now. 5 minutes to go. It's a 1 minute 42 second lap around here, so we aren't going to have too many more tours of this Imola circuit for the opening race. No dive bomb just yet from Richard Warmingham going in the first corner. It's probably not too much of a big enough braking zone for you to do something like that. You've really got to be up the inside before you get on the brakes if you want to get a move done there, as Simon Underhill puts in a new personal best.
Yeah, because you're going into a chicane as well, you've got to be careful, because you know that if you get it wide on the first part, you're going to then be compromised with the second and third parts. As we see Chris Wood on the grass there, he's got Dion Phillips around the outside of him now, trying to stick it to him, but he's not quite got the overlap. If Chris gets a good enough run, he's going to be away. He's going to have the inside for the next corner. I was just going to say, as they were coming down the straight, noticed that Dion was getting closer and closer, so Chris would have to just be careful about trying to make a move. He's still got it there. Dion might get the run down the inside though. Brilliant little move by him there. Just leaves him enough room. Still side by side. Chris again has the inside line. They're back to single file then as they go through Aqua Minerale. I've still not been able to say that right once, I apologise. Still trying though, is Dion. He's just showing him his nose, just saying, look son, I'm still here. I'm going to try it. It's really difficult for him to get that chicane right though, because the curbs are so high. Chris gets a little wobble on the exit. Behind them as well is Steve Lavallee, so he's going to be trying to poke his nose in and give these guys a bit of pressure as well. But Chris, you can tell he's feeling it at the moment. Down the inside by Dion Phillips. Beautiful stuff on the brakes there. Really well executed move. That was as clean as you like. He's a bit wide on the next corner though, and Chris is going to come back at him now as ahead of them. That's Warmingham going side by side with Delman, but we'll stick with Dion at the moment because Chris is just going round the outside. He's really got the pace there. Dion trying to edge over to the left a little bit just to squeeze in, but it's not working. Just got to see who's later on the brakes now. Yeah, Chris has got it sorted there. Though he hops over the curb
again.
And that's put Dion and through as well goes Lavallee. Real shame there for Chris Wood. He'll be gutted about that.
Oh, they're brutal. If you abuse those curves, they will bite you, really, quite literally. Richard Bart Delman, proving that again here.
Yeah, giving us a first-hand demonstration there, knocking the bodywork out of that Merc there. I think the wheel nearly went through the bonnet. But Warmingham would have probably backed out then, seeing that, thinking, hang on, this has got to come back down to earth at some point. So he's putting his nose down the inside now, and fainting back to the racing line. Delman's going to be feeling the pressure though. I think that might have been a sign that he is. But they've got 4 Mercs now all fighting for this. All the massive Mercedes-AMG GTs. As Delman's a bit wide, Warmingham's surely going to get the run now up to the chicane. He's just got to choose his line. And then obviously not launch it over the curb so hard. Not quite got there.
Arianti Alsa's not known for being an overtaking spot really, but yeah, Bart Delman able to hold on there. Dion Phillips is within striking distance of the XVR Sim Racing Merc, and I wonder if he can emulate that fantastic move that he did on Steve Lavallee on the previous lap. Into the Ravazza we go then, as we look from Bart Delman. My mental arithmetic says we've got 2 laps to go. Just about. Actually no, I think this could be the final lap actually. My mistake. Here we go then, over the line on to lap 12. Delman having to do the defending. Richard Warmingham might look to the outside here. Delman's already committed to the inside, so that is where he's going to be. Moving just across, and he hits the curb again. But fortunately, he doesn't hit the inside like one of his other drivers did. Oh, and I think that might be a quarter panel. Oh, nearly was. And off goes Dion Phillips and flashes the lights in, presumably frustration. And Steve Lavallee has to back off as well. And they've lost a few tenths of a second as we now focus again on the battle for the final spot on the podium.
Yeah, Dave Baker still ahead of his teammate Christian Rose as we look now at race leader Foggy. He seems to have put the gap back on Josh Thompson a bit. Oh, Josh running wide there, and that's going to be the end of his race win sort of attack. But Baker still controlling it ahead of Rose. I think these guys will be working really well together now to just manage their positions and just keep Avdoka behind, because they're both really quick anyway, so I'm sure that when they're helping each other out, you just get that little bit more motivation to just keep it calm, run your lines, and as you can see, nice and controlled over the curbs. Avdoka doing a really good job of sticking with them though. He's been pedalling that Mercedes really well all season. This being no exception tonight. Shame for Johnny Brandon though, it's obviously turning into a really, really good battle, but obviously on a track like this it's quite thin, so it is one of them where you've got to carry the momentum. There's not many different lines through these chicanes, so all it takes is for one guy to go out wide. But Foggy takes the win then, ahead of Josh Thompson, and we see Dave Baker come home to take a very deserved podium, ahead of Christian Rose and Avdoka, rounding out the top 10. Top 10, I clearly can't count, I've had my maths lessons off Big Shack. And it'll be Daleman coming home in 6th on his own then. There he goes, sticking it to the inside just to make sure he has the shortest route. And he brings it home ahead of Warmingham, Phillips and Lavallee. Great battling by those boys, but there's your race winner then, Nickel Foggy. Great respect between him and Josh as well. I can imagine if they were in VR, they'd be sticking the thumbs up at each other out the windows and stuff. They've had a really, really titanic battle all season. As we go to what we call the Forza camera then, nearly. Great shot. See Dave there behind him. He's probably going to, well, I thought he was going to give him one of them little NASCAR love taps then, just as they all say well done to each other. sure Nickel will be really happy with that, as you can tell by the wheel wobbling.
There you go. They fuel these cars to perfection really here, and that's the end of Nicole. Foggy, he'll be turned back to the pits after that, and I think we still have a few cars out on circuit. Who we've got? There's Luke Clark and Michael Blake. They've just come across the line. Could be waiting on... has Ronald Moons crossed the line? Oh no, here's Pete Newman. He's in 33rd place. He came into the pits early on. Not too sure why, but he's going to come across the line now and take 33rd place. We'll see if that helps him at all when it comes to the reverse grid. And he is the last car to cross the line. So disappointing start for the evening for Pete Newman, but there's still 2 races to go, so you might be able to get some redemption, especially if the reverse grid goes his way as well. So let's get those results then. Up on screen from the first race of the day here in the World GT Championship in association with Racehub and Simmortal. Race winner, Nicole Foggy. I've got the sheet here. That is win number 8 of the season for the XVR Sim Racing driver. Josh Thompson finishing in 2nd. That's his 15th podium. The most podiums out of anybody in the field. Dave Baker finishing in 3rd place. Christian Rose's teammate 4th. How crucial could those 2 places be in terms of helping CQR Racehub close that gap for the team's championship? Michael Evdoka 5th. Bart Delman, the only non-British driver inside the top 10, in 6th. Then Richard Warmingham 7th, Dion Phillips 8th, Steve Lavalley 9th, and 10th Chris Wood. 11th for Johnny Brandon, Steve Baxter finishing in 12th. Nate Simpson, the highest of the AM drivers. Nate Simpson sits in 16th place in the AM category, so he's not going to worry about that too much. Simon Underhill finishing in 14th, though, ahead of Mark Woodhouse. That AM gap at the top will be coming down just a little bit. Miguel Freitas 16th, 17th Lane O'Connor. Paul Smith finishing in 18th place, 4 positions gained. Jason Rowe, 19th and 20th for Steve Burke. 21st for Nicolo Cuomo, the Italian. And then Luke Clark, one of the biggest movers in the field, gaining 13 places to finish in 22nd. Michael Blake, 23rd. Lee Deemer in 24th. Josh Rayfield, 25th. And then 26th place for the Savage boosted car of Adam Hedgecock. Then John Roberts in 27th. Robert Lundgren, 28th. Ben Gregory, we saw him all sorts of out of shape on the exit of Tosa on the opening lap. He had to come into the pits twice and finished 29th. Sharon Kaiser came into the pits on the formation lap for some reason and finished in 30th. Ronald Moons, 31st. 32nd, Pete Newman. They're just talking about Tim. And then Paul Gosling, the last car on the lead lap. And then Lee Woodburn and Mike Gray encountering issues during the race. Mike Gray, 9 laps down. So then, let's bring in Alex Simpson on that one. Alex, good first race. And as you'd expect, the fast guys at the front, but now it's going to be mixed up a bit because we've got the reverse grid to contend with.
Yeah, of course. I enjoyed that race. Very good race all round. And yeah, I think the next one will be interesting. I'm kind of hoping for a small reverse grid because the large ones can cause a little bit of carnage. And yeah, the front guys were all pretty decent out there. So just mix that up a little bit. It could be quite interesting. Sorry if that if people don't agree with me with that one, but yeah, let's bring that wheel up and we'll see exactly what we're going to get. I said this now, it'll probably be like, what's the largest number we've got? 34 out there, something like that. Here we go then. 36 is gone. 28 we might miss. It could be 20th. That's relatively small.
I was going to ask for a 20 because that's Steve Burke.
yeah, 20th is on. So there you go, mate. Your man on pole.
Brilliant stuff. Thrust Vector car on pole position then with Mr. Steve Burke. That'll mean that Jason Rowe lines up alongside him. Paul Smith will be 3rd and Lane O'Connor will be 4th for XVR Green. So I'm happy and hopefully those boys are too.
Pretty good for them. We'll see if it helps them at all in terms of the race, because race 2 of the day in the World GT Championship here at the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari is coming up after the break here on Age Racing TV. We're back here at the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari, getting set for the second race of the day, and we're within a few seconds of getting the race underway. A few technical issues have just set us back a few moments, but we're here now, and Steve Burke starting on the pole as the field heads through the Revatzers. I believe Jason Rowe starting in second, Paul Smith in third. Fourth is Lane O'Connor, then Miguel Freitas, Mark Woodhouse, Simon Underhill, Nate Simpson, Steve Baxter and Johnny Brandon. Adam Bath and Chaz Draycott here with you once again for the second race of the day, reverse grid race. And we are getting set to go then as Steve Burke leads the field around. And there's a green flag. Green lights are on. You can see them rushing away there into the first corner. And it's a good start by Mark Woodhouse. I think he's managed to leap up a few positions into the lead by the first corner. And Chaz Dracott's with me here. So
yeah, yep. Just nervously watching me My boy Steve Burke there being chased absolutely tenaciously by Paul Smith. I think there was a bit of contact into turn 1. They've actually put a bit of a gap on Miguel Freitas behind because, oh, Jason Rowe's been turned. Just saw Jason Rowe go around into the gravel there at the Villeneuve chicane. He's actually kept it pointing the right way. I thought it was going to go completely around there. I believe that was Lane O'Connor that got involved with him. It was just a bit sort of bulged up there because Jason went over the curbs in the first chicane, and it's obviously, it did what we saw in race 1 where it then sets everyone off for the second part of the corner and the right people are slowing down at the right time. Oh, is that
Phillips, I think?
Yeah, it was Dion Phillips, wasn't it? It was going out wide. I think there was a little bit of contact putting him onto the grass. As Jason now is side by side. No, Jason backs out of that move. But we see Simon Underhill now. He was obviously quite consistent in race 1. He's lost 2 places so far though, actually. He's going to be chasing back to try and catch up with Chris Wood, but there is a bit of a gap as in the background there. I believe that Michael Evdoka there going down the inside of Steve LaValle into the chicane. Doesn't quite work, as you see. Also, that was Dave Baker trying to put a move on Jason Rowe. He's actually been passed by his teammate Christian Rose as there's cars around.
Oh dear.
That's
Yes, Kuumo. Then there's a Savage boosted car off as well. That's Adam Hedgecock, I believe. So, bottom left of the beamer. Here's a replay. Let's see what happened then. We're going up to the top of the hill. There's a nice racing car. Stuff might have already kicked off by the time these guys are. Oh dear.
Yeah, I think Hedgecock came over to defend. Oh, actually, yeah, that was one of the Team Mad cars. Hedgecock was actually way ahead of that, and then when they cut back through, as Smith goes down the inside, but he's run wide over the Turtles. Freitas avoids, and his teammate Mark Woodhouse is in there as well. They're going to be side by side at the second part, maybe even 3 wide, but Paul is still ahead somehow.
Woodhouse may even have just given the Audi a slightest touch, and that's allowed. Baxter through into 4th place. The Audi, sorry.
2 XVR cars just hit each other. Brandon around again, the second time this evening, that's chicane.
He's there somewhere, he's behind that bridge. There he is. Surprise!
He's playing hide and seek with the cameras.
There he is then. There was no hide and seek about the contact. It was a pretty definite hit. I think that again was Lane O'Connor. As we see Underhill now side by side with Chris Wood. They've got Michael Evdoka and Dion Phillips in there. These boys were battling the first race as well. As Evdoka around the outside of Underhill there. Underhill not letting him have it, staying down the inside. He remains single file. Dion Phillips tries to get a run, but he gets a bit of a slide on. Changes his line now to the outside, going into the chicane. Now to the inside again. Evdoka defending. Just not going to get it done.
Great battle this, inside the top 10. Evdoka, 11 positions gained, Rose 10, Thompson 11, Foggy 11 as well. Here's the replay of what happened between the 2 XVR cars. Johnny Brandon there as well. Let's see what happens then. Into Villeneuve. Oh, he gets a wiggle on, turns in, and yeah, the 2 make contact, and Johnny Brandon off into the inside gravel trap on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. Then here's the battle for 2nd place then. Steve Baxter versus Paul Smith as we come across the line. Baxter on the inside, Paul Smith on the outside in the Smile Time racing car. He'll have a stream going, no doubt, as well. Baxter through into 2nd place. Smith, who was leading at this point a lap ago before he ran over the curbs at the Tembrella chicane, now down to 3rd place.
Really good move there by Baxter. Very sort of controlled move, just got it done. And don't be fooled by the other Savage with boosted BMW ahead of Steve Burke. That's actually Adam Hedgecock, who is a lap down now, or it might even be Rob Lundgren actually. It's both of them in the same car, a lap down. Steve's still leading the way at the moment then for Thrust Vector, which obviously I'm very happy about. But Paul Smith now possibly coming under pressure for Miguel Freitas as well. Then we've got Mark Woodhouse and Lane O'Connor behind that. Not massive amount of time between them. I think the only major gap really is actually back to Woodhouse. But he's also got cars behind him as we look now. This is Johnny Brandon on his comeback then, side by side with Ronald Moons. He's going to be down the inside to the left-hander. Seems to get it done. Yep, certainly does. Johnny makes another place then, up to 22nd overall. We'll look back now. Sorry,
so I was going to say that damage not doing him too much disservice. You can see quite a few Pro-Am cars are inside the top 18 as well, as we look at this battle here between Delman and Jason Rowe in 16th place, and then Michael Blake, Dave Baker and Nate Simpson as well for good company. Dave Baker will be eager to get a few of these positions here if he wants to keep up with Josh Thompson in 2nd place in the championship, because Thompson right now is in 10th place.
Yeah, Baker for the 2nd time tonight is the Ferrari part of a sandwich. He's got the Simmortal cars either side of him of Blake and Simpson. We look now then at Simon Underhill under increasing pressure from Christian Rose. Dave Baker's teammate is going to take it all the way around the outside. Really close together then, but now that's going to become the inside. Is Steve Burke now Baxter right behind him. He's closed that much within a lap. Steve changing to the Mercedes partway through the season after we had a bit of a disagreement with the Audi. It wasn't working for us. Baxter's putting his nose down the inside. Great stuff by Stephen Baxter there. And Steve Burke plays it safe, lets Baxter go. He knows he's quicker than him, so I know what Steve will be thinking. He'll be wanting those championship points. And while the win has just sort of slipped away for Thrust Vector, it's nice for him to keep the points. As we now have Freitas chasing down Paul Smith. The beautiful V10 tones of the Audi R8 GT3 climbing up the hill then towards a really fast left-hander. It's really important to carry momentum through here, isn't it?
Oh.
Steve Burke, big slide on there. Really big slide on. Talking about carrying momentum, that's not the way to do it, ladies and gents. But Freitas now, you can sort of see Paul Smith visually getting away actually over that section of the track.
Yeah, it was backs to the wall for Burke, and in the end, Steve Baxter was able to get the job done in the Villeneuve chicane. But as we ride on board with Miguel Freitas in 4th position, highest Audi, he's trying to apply the pressure on Paul Smith, but he is coming under pressure from Smith's teammate Mark Woodhouse, we can see there as well. Good to see so many Pro-Am drivers inside the top 10 as well. I say so many. We've got two. We've got Burke and Woodhouse, two drivers that'll be no doubt duking it out for the Pro-Am title come the end of it. You can see Josh Thompson in the background there, looking to get a move done in the background. And now we come onto the start-finish straight again. You can see Thompson getting flashed at by Christian Rose. It's the headlights that are getting flashed, not to allude to anything else that's come across the line. But onto lap 5, and now it's the turn of Christian Rose to try and get past, as well as we now cut back to the battle for second between Paul Smith and Steve Burke.
Yeah, Paul seems to put it around the outside somehow there, as Freitas then just getting blocked off by Steve now. There's black and red cars and everything everywhere here. Steve's still in 3rd place, but Paul has got the move done, and he's surely going to pull away now, as Freitas is right on the rear gearbox. Well, and then there's a front one as well of that Mercedes. Well, there is a front one of a Mercedes because it's front engine, so that's digging himself into a bit of a hole there. 101 with Chaz Draycott. Woodhouse is also going to be interested in this battle because he's going to be following Freitas thinking, come on, have a bit of a scrap and then see whether I can take the opportunity. But to be fair, the next few guys after that as well, Lane O'Connor, you've got Chris Wood, Michael Avdoka as well, as we just saw him flashing his lights there in the background. They're all going to be just waiting for this to back up, and then just take any opportunity that comes to him. Josh Thompson on the back of this train as well, and I'm pretty sure that Christian Rose will be there soon too.
I think you were pretty mystic about Paul Smith. When we last checked in on him, you said he was pulling away, and then within a space of a lap, he was up to 2nd place. So Paul Smith doing pretty well as we look from the back of Mark Woodhouse. Doing pretty well here in 5th position, as we've been alluding to. 1 position gain so far for the Pro-Am driver, but it's got some quicker cars starting to arrive. Lane O'Connor out of nowhere. Oh, they all go very deep into the first of the Rivazzas. And that can be the case if you're the car that's following the car in front. You brake when they brake, and all of a sudden you find yourself heading off in towards the gravel, and that's given Woodhouse a bit of breathing space now from Phillips. 4/10 of a second, and this allows Thompson to close in as well, as you can see from the onboard camera down the front straights. Thompson looking to the outside, going into Tambush again. Look at this. This is all for 2nd place all of a sudden. This is a huge scrap. This is a gaggle, and Thompson's in the gravel. A gaggle with Thompson in the gravel. There you go. And now we're on the run. Has he been disqualified? I thought he had then. He's back.
I think Burke might have been slow through there when Freitas tried to move, and that's backed it all up. Woodhouse has lost a couple of places as well. He's now got Avdoka side by side with him. In the middle of that as well, you've also got Chris Wood, who's benefited from it a little bit. But they're 2 by 2. They're 3. Oh, that's Freitas off, and he's nearly between the 2 barriers there. Not sure whether he got any help. Didn't quite see it. Might just put his foot down a little bit early in the excitement of the battle. But it's easy to do in these GT3 cars. I mean, you tend to try and run the traction control as low as possible. Have a look at it then. He is quite far away from anyone.
Yeah, here's a replay.
Yeah, he's just going to get... Oh, it's the Astro and then the grass, yeah. It's a mistake we've all made. And like I was just going to say then, you try and run the traction control as low as possible, so you're not sort of limited when you're coming out of the corner.
I think there's been a crash between Christian Rose and Dion Phillips, as they were up there, but now they're down in 15th and 16th place. So chaos unfolding here in World GT Championship. Here they go, they're side by side, they're heading towards Aquina Minerale. They've got Thompson in the mix there as well. Could be a recipe for yeah, recipe.
Yeah,
for that.
Just goes late, I think, trying to stay ahead of Josh. Just unfortunately tags him. They both run wide, obviously. I think he may have given the position back. I'm not sure whether he did. As we look now then, Lane O'Connor, he's got Chris Wood in that very fierce BMW flying up behind him. Really good slipstream there from Chris. He's popping down the inside. Keeps his nose down. Contact.
They're stuck together.
Ivdoka, I think Chris was trying to give him the place back by slowing down there, and he just sort of blocked Ivdoka. Woodhouse the opportunist, and there goes Josh Thompson flying around the outside. And yeah, I think Chris is giving him the place back there. Nice sportsmanship from Chris, good to see. He's also giving the place as well to his teammates, so extra bit of help there given to him. That's Nickel Foggy now, up 12 places into 8th. Great drive by Nickel so far. Ivdoka up 12 and Thompson up to 14 places as well, as you can see on the left there.
Yeah, and he just gained that 14th place up the inside into Tosa, getting past Chris Wood. So Josh Thompson cracks the top 5. Woodhouse having a little bit of a look up the inside there into Piratella. Thompson misses the apex by quite some distance, just to take advantage of the runoff area here on Piratella. Now plunging down the hill into Aquina Minerale. And my very little Italian almost makes me think that's mineral water or something like that as we go up the hill. I had to look that up. Yeah. Now through yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say you're little Italian, sort of compared to my no Italian, so I'm not really sure at all, if I'm honest. Lane O'Connor then chasing down Mark Woodhouse. So he's the only guy in the field to actually still be where he started on the grid in 6th place. Nickel Foggy is in there as well, as we see Warmingham and now Baker down the inside as the 2 XVR cars both run wide in formation there. Dave really putting the pressure on the back of Steve Lavallee now. Surely going to have enough slipstream to go down the straight and get the move done. Christian Rose is going to obviously want to capitalise on this as well. These 2 CQR Ferraris have been running together most of the race. As we ride on board now with Baker.
See what speed we can reach then. 200 and just shy of 270 as we get on the brakes, and he could set him up through here. Nickel Foggy has had a pretty good last lap. Purple first sector as well on this one. Purple first sector by Josh Thompson. It's just been bettered. Thompson, man on a mission here. He is 15 seconds off the lead, so with 8 minutes to go, I think even for Josh Thompson that's a tall order. It's closing up in front as well. You can see the defensive driving that's going on by quite a few of the drivers in front, likes of Underhill and Warmingham, holding quite a few people up. And Thompson, Dave Baker didn't have the best line on the exit. That's because he's having to defend from Christian Rose, and he's got Dion Phillips and company as well as we go over the top of the hill. Rose is definitely going to get the position. And Phillips is going to try round the outside. Baker gives him the nudge. It was never Dion Phillips's corner. Baker made sure he proved him of that, as here comes Josh Thompson then. Purple sector 1, we just alluded to that. And now he's trying to close in on Michael Ivdoka and Steve Burke in front. I think it's too inconceivable, Chaz, that in the 7 minutes or so that we've got left of this second race, Thompson could easily get 2nd place.
Yeah, he definitely could. I know that Michael Ivdoka for Fitztie was actually working with us and Steve for a while, so I'm sure those two will be communicating. But Michael's insanely quick round here. He's doing really well tonight, so he's going to want to just sort of dispatch of Steve and then get away from Thompson if possible. But you do have to think that Josh will get it done sort of sooner rather than later. Riding on board with Paul Smith at the moment, though, he's having a great race so far. He's started 3rd and now he's 2nd, so to start from the podium and still have an improvement is always good. But Baxter then at the moment is way off in the distance by the look of it. He's just enjoying driving the Beamer around Imola, as who wouldn't. And he's doing a fantastic job so far. Only 3 incident points to his name as well. And surely you've got to think that they must have been in the time he was just making moves to get up the 8 places that he's gained already.
Just had a quick look at the track temperature for this one, just because we've been seeing quite a few cars slide wide as Thompson gets on it straight away, trying to get 4th place. Round the outside, a drift as well in the BMW. You can see he's desperate to get the power down as quickly as he can. Now it's going to be too wide up the top of the hill. Piratella, who's going to be breaking the latest? It's Thompson on the outside. He swoops around and gets the position. Does go off in the process, but I think we'll give him that one. Thompson through into 4th. There we go, there he is clear. Into Aquina Minerale, car 49. Thompson did allude to that the championship, for the most part, looks set to be over. But he's definitely not giving up here in terms of his pursuit to get on the podium. And he's did a fantastic job, as the track temperature, just to go back to my previous point, was it's 41 degrees, so 5 minutes to go. I wonder if the tyres might just be starting to suffer a little bit in the Imola heat.
Yeah, it's very, very hot out there on track at the moment. Something clearly happened to Steve in that second chicane, the Villeneuve chicane, because all of a sudden he's gone in a couple of corners from 3rd to 5th behind Josh Thompson and Udoka. As we ride on board now with Christian Rose chasing down the valley and Warmingham. Underhill ahead of them as well, and then just up in the distance you can see Bart Daleman and the number 2 Mercedes. Might get a bit of slipstream here, but you can see the torque and the pull of the Mercedes. We're speaking to Dave Baker actually between races, and he was saying that the Ferrari boys are struggling a little bit because the Mercedes has just got so much torque around here, and it's important on this track. As you see the battle between Warmingham and Underhill there. Warmingham's gone around the outside. Side by side, he's somehow in that cab. Oh, there's contact and they're around. There's a couple of them involved. Rose, I believe that is as well. It is Christian Rose and Warmingham. Oh, Underhill comes back on right into the path of 2 of the Simmortal cars. Another one there just misses it. Who was the other one? That was Michael Blake. Real shame for Michael there. He was just the innocent party going about his business, and suddenly Underhill was there on the track, and the back end of that Audi shows the signs of an incident. As we look, Josh Thompson now 2nd place. Nickel Foggy behind him with Udoka 4th. Unbelievable stuff these boys are so far up the field. I didn't even notice that Nickel was anywhere near these lot. I'm not sure how he's done that or how Paul Smith's gone back. Well, let's have a look.
Yeah, this was all unfolding while that mess was going on at Tamburello. So Udoka goes to the outside of Smith into the first chicane. Smith hits that curb. The two make contact, and they just about miss each other on the aftermath of it. Then Thompson goes around the outside of Smith, and Udoka, I believe, may have suffered a slowdown and all that, or anyway, just a loss of pace.
Oh, what a move by Thompson.
Yeah, fantastic move, wasn't it?
That was unbelievable. I don't know how he just stuck that around the outside and got that through there, but fair play, Josh Thompson. Nickel Foggy around the outside of Udoka there as well. Those boys are just, I don't know how these guys do it. That's just amazing driving by both of them there to make that. And to be fair as well, big shout out to Paul Smith for saving that once him and Udoka made contact. That was a really good bit of car control, and at the end of the day, he's still in the top 5, so I'm sure I'll be happy with that. As Steve Burke is coming under pressure from Wood and Woodhouse in the background. As we look back from Thompson at Foggy then, these boys still at Foggy on the grass, somehow still gets it saved and gets it turned in. I mean, if you want a lesson in car control, you need to just follow these boys for a bit, because it's just amazing what they can make these cars do and what they can save. And this is why they're at the top of a championship as competitive as this.
Yeah, the top 2 in the championship duking it out. However, Foggy is the man who is the higher in the championship. He leads the World GT Series with 2 race meetings to go. Now he's putting the pressure on to Thompson, similar to pressure that Schumacher put on Alonso here back in 2005. Good 13 years ago now. Oh, that time goes by as we go through Piratella. Michael Udoka now fancies a piece of the action as well. He got passed around the outside by both Thompson and Foggy. Might be wanting to return the favour here, as when we get to the line, we'll be starting the final lap of this very entertaining second race here at Imola. Three drivers here, 2 different manufacturers. We've got BMW in second with Thompson, and then we've got the 2 Mercs of Foggy and Udoka trying to get onto the podium in the closing stages, as both Thompson and Foggy use all of the runoff area on the exit of Variante Alto. And you can see there on the track map just how big of a lead Steve Baxter has. We haven't really spoken about him at all, Chaz, but they're just going into Ravazza as Steve Baxter comes across the timing line.
Yeah, he's doing an absolutely sterling job at the moment. He's just driven away from everyone. He got the move done early on, and he's just absolutely checked out. As Thompson now has Foggy right behind him then as they go down the straight. You've got to think Foggy's going to get enough slipstream here. That big rear wing of the BMW is going to punch a massive hole in the air. Foggy's going to go to the outside. Josh is just coming across, not far enough to do a Vettel on him as we saw in Russia. On the brakes, oh, that was really close to making contact there. They might have swapped a few layers of lacquer then, but not quite sure what's happening. I can hear contact. Smith is unfortunately going down the timing screen. He's on the gravel. I'm sure he'll be cursing on his stream at whoever's done that. Oh, that was Dion Phillips with possibly one of the scariest moments I've seen on the service for a while. Josh Thompson then still ahead of Nickel Foggy, somehow, with Udoka behind then. Udoka just going to be watching now from the sidelines. It's a shame about Smith though. It'd be interesting to look back, but obviously we're on to the last lap now, so things may get frantic between these guys if Foggy tries a move. I'm pretty sure with his championship lead though, he'll be happy to settle for third, but why settle for third when you can have second place? always going to be a good scrap with these pair. That BMW looks pretty lively on the brakes, doesn't it?
Thompson loves to. I can gather that Thompson likes a car to be set up to be like that. As we go up to the top of the hill, very anti-outer. Looks like it's going to be very tough for these guys to get a move done unless they're going to have a go into the Rivazza. You can see at the top of the screen that the clock has gone past the 20-minute mark, so this is the final lap of the race. And what a moment this is for Steve Baxter, on his way to the timing line now, the finish line, to take victory here. It's his second win of the season. Steve Baxter wins race 2 of the day here at the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari. It looks like Josh Thompson is going to get second. He is, unless a cruel twist of fate for him. There's the timing line. Josh Thompson gets second. Nicole Foggy third. Michael Evdoka finishing in 4th place. The top 2 in race 1 are reversed in race 2. Thompson, Foggy second, third, and then Evdoka, Chris Wood. Paul Smith in the end is going to come across the line 13th in the end. He was off in the gravel at Tamburello. And this is another close battle. This is Jason Rowe. This is Mike Gray, who failed to finish the opening race. And Christian Rhodes as well. Not the best race for XVR, really. We saw 2 teammates collide at the start of the race, and we saw 2 collide in the closing stages. Now here's Ben Gregory and Nicolo Cuomo. Gregory had issues in the first race. Cuomo had a crash at the start of race 2. Understeers wide there. Surely tyre life very, very limited now for these tyres late on. It's going to be Cuomo that's going to come across the line to take 27th, and Ben Gregory in the Fitstyle car going to come across the line and take 28th. And oh, maybe not. Foregone conclusion. Cuomo finishes 28th. He gets 27th on the line there. Don't know what happened.
They must have been listening and thought, let's show him. Let's just, have it the other way around. But not sure whether Cuomo might have missed the timing line or something, not knowing where it is. But we've seen a couple of guys seem to get confused by that with the rolling starts. But, well, yeah, there we see it. Gregory finishing ahead of Cuomo then. But great job by Steve Baxter. He just controlled it and just left, didn't he? He just made it his own race.
Fantastic job. Another boosted win, and another BMW win as well. It's a BMW 1-2 as well, albeit for different teams. Steve Baxter then, as we're saying, wins his second race of the season. He sits 12th in the championship. That might help elevate him into the top 10 come the end of the season. Josh Thompson finishing in second, kept the championship leader and his rival Nicole Foggy at bay. Great job by those two to go through the field, both gaining 17 places. The joint biggest movers in the field. Michael Evdoka finishing in 4th in the end. He was pushing them all the way too. Chris Wood 5th, Steve Burke 6th, 7th for Lane O'Connor, 8th Bar Delman, 9th for Mark Woodhouse, and 10th for Dave Baker. 11th for Dion Phillips, 12th for Johnny Brandon, 13th place for Paul Smith in the end. Steve Lavallee 14th, Lee Deemer in 15th, not gaining 9 places. 16th place for Richard Warmingham. Then a good drive by both Ronald Moons and Paul Gosling, 17th and 18th. The 2 Pro-Am drivers both gained 14 places during the race. Jason Rowe finishing in 19th, and then 20th for Mike Gray, also gaining 14 places. So these Pro-Am drivers, they did a good job of dodging all the bullets that were no doubt getting fired at them at the start of the race. Christian Rose 21st, then 2 Pro-Am drivers again, Lee Woodburn and Simon Underhill 22nd and 23rd. Michael Blake 24th, then Miguel Freitas in 25th place. Nate Simpson over a minute behind in 26th. He didn't come into the pits, so I don't know what happened there to Nate Simpson to make him fall that far behind. Ben Gregory and Nicolo Cuomo, we saw them switching positions very late on. Don't know whether it was a tactic or anything. We'll wait and see when it comes to the reverse grid. Adam Hedgecock 29th, John Roberts 30th. 31st place for Luke Clark, the last car on the lead lap. Robert Lundgren 1 lap down. And then the cars that didn't finish the race, Josh Rayfield, and for the second time in a row, Jerome Kaiser. Don't know what happened to poor Jerome. It hasn't been the best evening for him. We'll see whose evening, though, will get better, because it's time for the second and final reverse grid of the day, as we set the grid for race 3, Alex. And we'll bring you in. And great battle there between Thompson and Foggy, but the main part of the circuit where all the action was happening was down at that Tamburello chicane.
Yeah, it was a great race. I would say the slightly smaller reverse grid really played into that. I feel gutted for Paul Smith. He was having such a good race as well, and then didn't quite see what happened to him. But yeah, unfortunately, we just sort of saw him when he was off track. But yeah, gutted because he was having such a good one. But yeah, he's come through 17 places. Great drive from Thompson and Foggy, but Baxter as well. He got to the front really early and just pulled away while they're battling. So some really strong drives out there. Right, let me bring the wheel up on screen. We'll give this a spin. We'll see who's going to be on the pole for the next. Cue the music. It's going to be a larger one this time. I don't think it's going to. Yeah, indeed it is. So 32nd place. Going to get that pole. Whoever that will be with the 1 lap down.
Who will that be on the pole then, Chaz?
Sorry, boys, I was muted then. I was trying to say it. I'm just having a quick look down the order then. Pole position, will you say 30th? Sorry, I lost you then.
32, so Robert
32.
Lundgren, I believe it might be.
He was, 1 lap down. So Rob Lundgren, Luke Clark, John Roberts, and Adam Hedgecock. So despite Adam obviously having bad luck early on with the incident, he's actually going to be up there in 4th on the grid now, with Cuomo ahead of Gregory also behind them as we saw them swap over the line.
Great. So that is the grid then for the final race of the day. And you saw how quick it was in terms of getting the session up for race 2. I reckon it's probably going to be similar for race 3. So we won't be too far away from getting race 3, penultimate race meeting of the season in the World GT Championship underway. We'll be back in a few minutes on Apex Racing TV. We're back and we're down on the grid for the final race of the day in the penultimate race meeting of the season in the World GT Championship. Just a race meeting to go after this one, and just find out actually where it is. I'll tell you that in a second, but we are heading down to the grid now, and Chaz Jacob, who joins me again for the final race. We've got Robert Lundgren on pole. He didn't have the best second race. In fact, he finished one lap down on the leaders, but now he's got the chance to get a win, and he's starting on the front row.
Yeah, he should be able to do something with it, Rob. He has always had pace there. He's just not had the luck on his side. I mean, when I was racing alongside him with in this series, he just always got caught up in incidents where drivers said drop back a bit because of another incident, and then ended up getting caught with them. So hopefully he gets something good out of this. He's got Luke Clark alongside him on the front row. Another RAM row of drivers there with Roberts and Hedgecock. Cuomo's 5th with Ben Gregory 6th. Those two boys could do really well starting from those positions. Nate Simpson 7th, Miguel Freitas 8th, Michael Blake in 9th. We saw him get involved as the innocent party in that second race then. Simon Underhill in 10th. Again, he's quick for an AM driver. A lot of the guys at the beginning of the season actually started the hashtag Underhill for Pro at the beginning now as they line up then with Lundgren and Luke Clark on the front row as the safety car pulls in. Now he's got to obviously remember where the timing line is. He's still flashing the brake lights to show him he's not hanging about. Well, he is hanging about. No, he's off he goes then. Roberts making the run around the outside of Luke Clark. Ben Gregory there trying to take the opportunity to get onto the inside line. Roberts and Clark really close together then into the first chicane. Lundgren's wide and he's pretty much stopped it, and that puts Clark into the lead ahead of Roberts. John's going to go for the move now. They're nearly 3 wide behind. On the inside there, that's one of the Simmortal cars. As he gets turned across, and they're coming back off the field. They're coming back into the middle of the track now, and Josh Thompson. Josh Thompson's off in the background. That's going to be massive for the championship.
That is crucial, because we were told during the break that if the points are over 224, that is it, and it will mean that Nicole Foggy is the champion. Thompson has got going without too much damage. There's many cars over. So we didn't end up having a safety car called in all of that, but Thompson has got going again in 22nd place. After all that, Nicole Foggy is in he's in 19th place. He's gained 11 positions, so he's only a few positions ahead, but we'll have to wait and see what the championship looks like at the end of the evening. But for now, it's Clark leading Gregory, and it's Roberts in 3rd, 4th Hedgecock, 5th Michael Blake, 6th Underhill, 7th Rose, 8th Ronald Moons, 9th Richard Warmingham, and 10th Dion Phillips. As there's a move there, that's Warmingham going up the inside into Variante Alta.
I hate to say it, but that stemmed from Robert Lundgren's turn 1 there. He dived into that corner far too hot and had to literally bring the car almost to a standstill to make the apex. And that was an interesting move. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's going to try and still keep it around the outside there. Now he's got Roberts. This is going to go nearly 3 wide. We've got Luke Clark in there as well. Adam Hedgecock. Ben's got the lead then. Luke Clark got a bad run out of there, but it's John Roberts now on the inside. Hedgecock side by side with Luke Clark there. You've got to think that Ben may be able to get a win from this. We saw him get a win earlier in the season at it was at Watkins Glen, wasn't it? John Roberts then, brilliant move round the outside into turn 1. He's still just got his nose in front as he's side by side with Ben Gregory. The Underhill there is actually side by side with Christian Rose. And for the lead, they're still side by side. Gregory down the inside. He's got the car in front now. Brilliant stuff. John right behind him though. He's not giving him any space, is he? He's not letting him get away with it that easily. He's flashing the lights there. That's Michael Blake in 5th place, flashing away at Luke Clark in 4th. And now Hedgecock is alongside John Roberts going up the hill. God,
I was holding my breath down that front straight there. There was so many cars bunched together. It's up and out on the inside. That's a little bit of a bump and run there by the Simmortal car of Michael Blake. He's through into 5th, and that is the XPR car of Luke Clark down to 7th place after all that. Saw a few cars on the live time. Contacts. Don't know who it is. But I've seen a few cars towed back to the pits. The likes of Miguel Frace, Paul Gosling have all ended up back in the pit lane. So problems for them as this battle continues to rage on going through Variante Alta. We've got cars all the way down to 11th within just a few seconds of each other.
Yeah, it's a really, really close train at the beginning then. It's going to be interesting to see the different pace of these guys and who can get through and who sort of holds them up a bit. That's always the sort of great equaliser with these reverse grids. As we go on board then, Michael Blake 4th place onto the straight. chasing down John Roberts. Christian Rose is closing in behind us, though. We can see it on the live timing. It's now just a tenth of a second, so Christian Rose will probably be popping his nose in somewhere, probably on the right then, seeing as Michael's all the way over to the left. Michael's defending. There is Christian. I can hear a car. It sounds like it's sliding. I hope that's not Ben Gregory. It's Michael and Christian really close together there. Michael two wheels on the grass. Still side by side there. Rose around the outside, and I think he's going to get it done. There's Underhill.
Yeah, Underhill thought about it going into Villeneuve chicane and thinks better of it. You can see also that we've got two AM cars sat in second and third place. So once again, the AM drivers coming to the fore here in the World GT Championship. We saw how good Woodhouse was in race 2. Same with Burke as well. Starting on the pole, still was able to get a top 10 out of all of that. But yeah, this battle for second place continues on. Nicole Foggy is a man on the move. He's just got 14th place from Steve Lavalley, his teammate. So I'm guessing that was a bit straightforward. Here is a replay of Jerome Kaiser. Now we're going to see what happens here. He's in 23rd place now. Is this going to be an overtaking move going through the Villeneuve chicane? He is the Team Mad car, and he's going to go to the outside of Josh Rayfield going through Tosa. Very close between the two of them, and it looks like Kaiser has got the move done. Kaiser is a man on the move. He's gained 11 positions, and the Beamer is now up to 23rd place.
Yeah, he's a Sebastian of Josh Rayfield then. Unfortunately, wasn't able to meet Josh on the weekend, actually. He was going down to the British Touring Cars at Brands Hatch, but fell ill. So hope Josh is feeling better soon. He seems to be not too bad if he's racing tonight, but he's not had the greatest of evenings, it seems, by his results so far. Gained 9 places in this one, but obviously a lot of that is pay to the incidents early on. Gregory still leads the way then, doing a 1:42.5 last time round. Josh Thompson's done the fastest lap of the race with a 1:41.8, sorry. That was the lap before, as he comes across the line now and does a 1:43.0. So he's obviously been held up by traffic, I say that, and he goes past Bart Delman. He's really on a mission though, but as Adam said earlier, 224 points is the most you can get from an evening. So if Nichols' gap is larger than that at the end of this, then he's the champion for the second time.
I'm afraid we have another HDCP error, I'm afraid, on the broadcast, so I'm going to have to quickly jump out of the session and try and get us back in as quickly as I can. So a bit of commentary will be needed, but I don't really know what's going on here with this, but twice tonight. So as soon as we can get loaded in, I'll bring back the live pictures.
We can switch to master, so I guess we can look at what we want.
Yeah.
Goes
we'll
on.
have a quick watch then and see what we can do. Luke Clark's just gone down the order a little bit. 2 of his teammates going through. That's Warmingham and Brandon. I think he just ran wide in Aqua Minerale there. As we look currently then, race leader Ben Gregory is now only 0.2 of a second ahead of Adam Hedgecock, apparently. Actually, that's my timing screen going wrong, so ignore me. He's actually 1.7 seconds ahead, and he's coming up to one of the cars that is a lap down. Just trying to find out who that is, as it won't seem to show us who that is.
I think it was Lee Woodburn in the Excite car. I think that's the one who was just lapping. He comes across the line, 13 minutes to go, and the battle for second place. It's anyone's game. Here comes Adam Hedgecock. Here comes John Roberts. The Ferrari is looking at the inside going into Tamburello, but Roberts is going to hold his own around the outside. 2 Ferraris going at it, but Christian Rose is able to get the job done going through the second part of the chicane, and they're now on their way in towards the Villeneuve chicane. This turns 3 and 4 here, and Adam Hedgecock trying to build the gap, but Simon Underhill, Chaz, he looks like he could be the one to watch in this battle because he's closing right up to the back of the Simmortal car of Michael Blake going through Tosa.
Yeah, he certainly is. They climb up the hill at the moment. He seems to have got a really good run out of there. They're approaching the left-hander now, just getting onto the brakes. They all brake about the same time. Blake actually catching up with Roberts a little bit. Blake washes out a little bit wider than them as they fly down the hill now towards Aqua Minerale. I've said it right for once. Underhill is just keeping the pressure on as it stands, though. The gap's fluctuating a little bit because this train of 5 cars is held up slightly by Hedgecock, defending from Rose. As they come towards the tight chicane that I have no chance of pronouncing the name of them, they brake about the same time. Christian Rose just turns it in. Roberts doing the same. Just keeping it nice and smooth so far as Roberts. As Underhill goes wider than the others, gets a bit of a wobble on there. In the background, we can see Warmingham and Brandon, 7th and 8th. Obviously, XVR teammates there. Evdoka has just got past Nickel Foggy, actually, side by side then, coming into the second to last corner. Evdoka down the inside, and he's actually got the move done, has he? Nickel's on the AstroTurf on the outside, and Evdoka has actually got the move done for 13th place then. Baker ahead of them, just running wide as they come onto the straight. But Foggy's not letting him get away with it. They're going side by side, and in the background we can actually see Josh Thompson as well. So these boys, Foggy, Evdoka and Thompson, have all gained 17 places. Foggy and Evdoka side by side down to turn one. Evdoka on the inside, Foggy on the outside. And it looks like Evdoka's just going to defend it, although Nickel being Nickel Foggy, he's actually kept it round the outside all the way throughout the whole chicane and has actually managed to get the run on him through there. I can hear contact. Not quite sure where it's come from.
Yeah. Oh, well, it very nearly came from those two, didn't it? And
Yeah.
it might still do as Nicole Foggy gets passed again by Michael Evdoka. It might have been coming from Dion Phillips just up the road because the privateer Evdoka has got a bit of front end damage now to his car, and the same can be said for Luke Clark as well in the XVR green car too. A bit of front right damage there on the Mercedes. I see a bit of smoke in the background. I know what it was. Isn't anything. No worry. We are halfway through the final race of the day here in the World GT Championship. Drama at the start with a big crash. Josh Thompson is now sat in 14th place. He's only a spot away from Nicole Foggy, but as we alluded to, if the gap is over 224 points between Thompson and Foggy at the end of the evening, the championship's over. And they weren't that. Thompson and Foggy have pretty much scored the same points. As up the inside goes Phillips into Ravazza, and oh, he's been hit by Rose, and he gets a tap by Evdoka as well, which sends him into a spin. And Dave Baker is in all sorts of trouble now as he gets the car going, and he's going to rejoin Chaz just in 19th place as Steve Baxter goes by as well.
Yeah, real shame for Dave there, just getting stuck in a little bit, and it's backfired on him, I'm afraid. His teammate, though, Christian Rose, is actually doing really well at the moment, up in second place. He's got past John Roberts, and him and Adam Hedgecock actually started third and fourth on the grid, and they're still there now. Ben Gregory leading the way then. He's actually, at the moment, got a 2.1 second lead over Christian Rose, as Roberts is wide on the gravel in the background. Fastest first sector, actually, by Richard Warmingham in the XVR car at the moment. He's just round the outside of Michael Blake currently. Doesn't quite work for him. He's on the AstroTurf. He's got his teammate Johnny Brandon behind him. People jumping around all over this timing screen, to be fair. It's all going on still. Just goes to show that even though we're way over halfway in this race, is Underhill flying down the inside there. Just caught that. He just shoves it down the inside of Adam Hedgecock before they even get to Acqua Minerale, and he's made the move stick. Great stuff by Underhill as always.
Oh, smoke, and that's Roberts. Notice that I think we have got pictures back with Alex as Roberts goes off and is going to rejoin in about 7th place. So, yeah, the problems continue to mount for Roberts, and it could be 8th as Warmingham gets by as well into the Variante Elsa.
Yeah, he's just, I think he's done his own little mistake there and just run wide. And obviously try and keep the momentum and get back up the hill. It's a bit of a nightmare. So, unfortunately, losing out there is John Roberts. But Underhill now up to 3rd place ahead of Hedgecock. Adam doing a really good job still so far in the Savage with boosted BMW. But Christian Rose then is running after Ben Gregory to try and get this win. Just under half of the race to go. Christian's been on the pace all night. He always is, really, in that Ferrari. Obviously, he's challenging for the championship in Season 2, as far as I know. And you've got to wonder whether Ben can hold on long enough to get his 2nd win of the season, as that was really, really evasive stuff by Michael Blake there.
Yeah, I heard it. And I think everybody could see it as well, as here comes the XVR sim racing car Johnny Brandon. 15 positions gained. He's not the biggest mover in the field. That's Josh Thompson. He's gained... Oh, Thompson's dropping down the order, actually.
He is.
Now, it might be a slowdown, or... Oh, and he gets hit by Lavallee, Foggy's teammate. And Thompson, who's already picked up some damage at the start of the race, picks up even more. He's now down to 14th place after whatever happened at the start of the lap.
Yeah, he's got to be feeling a little bit intimidated now, though, because the 3 cars in front of him are Steve Lavallee, Luke Clark and Nickel Foggy, all of XVR sim racing. So he's got a bit of a challenge on his hands now. He's obviously, we know that he's quicker than Steve Lavallee, no disrespect to them, but it's just the fact that he's got to face all 3 of them together. They're all obviously going to be working together to help Nickel's championship fight at the moment. just trying to have a quick look at the standings and see whereabouts we are, with obviously the potential of Nickel winning the championship this evening. So I'm going to try and have a quick look and see whether I can find those. So we do have the scores somewhere.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I have got them open. Almost forward them over to you, but we have got 7 minutes to go here, and this is probably the battle to watch, because Thompson has been so quick around here. He's a few positions away from Nicole Foggy now, but I do have the feeling that the gap in the championship may just carry on for another week, because going into this race meeting, Thompson was about 180 points behind. I don't think Foggy will have done enough to gain that amount of points to mean the title's wrapped up, as Thompson muscles his way through and may have just hit Luke Clark. Clark flies over those sausage curbs on the inside of Tamburello. Thompson's going to swoop around the outside and take the place. Thompson into 12 here, contacts, and it's Adam Hedgecock. Adam Hedgecock dropping down the order. He's off on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, and the Savage with boosted car may be done for the day. He's trying to reverse out of it. Here's a replay. Savage boosted car, he was up inside the top 5. We could hear the contact. Now we're going to see what caused it into the Villeneuve chicane.
He's going to hit the curb, yeah.
Oh,
and then Brandon slowed it down, but just not enough, and unfortunately tipped Hedgecock into the wall. Not really sure if there was much Brandon can do. You carry a lot of momentum into there, as we actually see Underhill now in 2nd place. Rose is down in 6th.
Oh, well.
Not
it does
quite
say
sure what's happened there.
It does say Christine Rose crashed on the timing screen. Now, this is with Ben Gregory. Is this...
This is for the lead.
This is for the lead.
He's taken Ben for the lead there. Oh, that's the biggest of netcodes, I think. Not to defend Ben straight away. I mean, I know I've worked with him before, but that seemed like they weren't that close together. I don't know what you think.
That's a tough one for me, I think. I don't want to pass judgment, because I haven't raced in this series, so...
Gives me a bias.
I'll straight up. But
to see it, but I think, well, it didn't look like they were close enough for it to cause that much of a spin. I mean, these cars are pretty sturdy, and a bit of sort of bumping and barging side on to side on usually just sort of pushes one guy out wide, doesn't completely spin someone, but I suppose it can depend how loosely you've got your car set up, or sort of how you sort of manage just how you control the slide, I suppose. Well, Christian now down to 6th. At the end of the day, that's the factor we've got in front of us. Michael Blake then still 4th, holding off Richard Warmingham and Christian Rose then. Doing a good job so far, Michael Blake in the Mercedes, as he pushes it up the hill.
You would have noticed that Steve Baxter's now missing from the top 20. He's crashed earlier, just a few minutes ago, so not too good for our race 2 winner. So far, winners tonight: Nicole Foggy in race 1. He sat in 9th here in race 3. Josh Thompson won race 2, sat in 10th. Foggy, in fact, put the new fastest lap of the race in on that last lap, 1:41.7. Shows the pace that's being run at the field. At the front of the field, Foggy's last lap time was 3 seconds quicker than Ben Gregory, and he was 4 seconds quicker than Michael Blake. So, if there was more time in this one, he'd definitely get there. As things stand, Foggy is not 9 seconds off the lead. He is 8 seconds off the lead, so he's definitely not going to get there in the 3 minutes that we have left of this one. But Foggy's showing some pretty good pace out there, despite the race being in the closing stages.
Yeah, he's showing us exactly why he's leading the championship, isn't he? He's just constantly on the pace, no matter where he is in the field. Interestingly enough, though, Josh Thompson is behind him on track in 10th place, and Evdoka is still ahead of him on track in 8th place. Well, I say that, he's just got past Dion Phillips on the straight. But they've all gained, well, until then they had all gained 21 places together, so they are moving almost as a trio, even though they're not actually together on track, as Rose now ahead, apparently, of Michael Blake and Richard Warmingham, as we see Evdoka and Dion Phillips side by side. Evdoka on the grass keeps it together, but Rose has gained those 2 places back then. In now is going to obviously go and chase Johnny Brandon, as we look at Warmingham then with Blake. Is he going to go down the inside? No, not quite. Josh Thompson all over the gravel in the background. Nickel Foggy there trying around on the outside. Dion Phillips now forced to run wide. Dion gets a bit of a slide on the exit though, so you've got to think that Nickel might get the better run up the hill. He's sort of squeezing into the right, but now Dion's going to have the inside line for the left-hander. Still really close side by side there. Foggy now concedes the place. Well, I'll say that, he's still in there. He's got to be careful of Evdoka trying to get the move done as well. Evdoka around the outside. No, he's not going to make that work, and Foggy files in front of him.
Good battle here, and it's tough for Nicole Foggy because even though he has got quite a big championship lead, he doesn't want to get a 0 here, because then the championship is right back on going into the final race meeting of the season, which will be at the Nürburgring next week. Forward to that one. 3 20-minute races again to decide the title. Now Foggy is trying to get the place back from Phillips here, going into Ravazza. Phillips closes the inside line. We saw Dion having a bit of a lunge going into the Ravazza in race 1. Now he's having to defend as we come on to the start, the final lap of the race. Ben Gregory has a 4.5 second lead over Simon Underhill in second, but it's all going to be about whether Foggy can get 7th place here. He's darting and flying about all over the place as he goes into battle with Phillips. Phillips is proving a very tough customer to get by. It's kicking off in front though, and that's contact between Warmingham and Blake. And this is going to allow Phillips and Foggy to close in and maybe join the party there as well. And here comes Michael Evdoka too.
Josh Thompson off on the gravel again in the background. He's really pushing hard. Foggy then around the outside of Evdoka. Dion Phillips is a tough cookie to pass, though. I'll tell you that from a couple of seasons in this series. Really good defensive driver is Dion. He's got a lot of pace. He just he's another one of these guys that has issues with incidents. Like he just gets caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time. But when it comes together for him, he's really quick. I think we saw at the end of I think it was season 2 actually, that the round at Le Mans, he was absolutely on fire in that Ferrari. I mean, it was in the limit squad Ferrari. Thought that we'd be right up there, but Dion just showed us that there was another level to the pace, and we couldn't stay with him. And he's showing tonight that he's definitely, well, he's just proven his worth, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is. And looks like unless Foggy can't get by, he's going to have to remain in 8th place. But here comes Ben Gregory. He's a few corners away from picking up the victory. He's just coming through Ravazza now. It was a Mercedes win in race 1. In BMW domination since then. It was Baxter in race 2. It's going to be Gregory in race 3. 3 different teams taking victory here. It's going to be Fitstyle Motorsports, Ben Gregory, that takes the victory in the 3rd and final race of the day. 2nd place is going to go to Simon Underhill, and the podium is going to be rounded out by Johnny Brandon. And that crazy scrap, it looks like it's going to be Nicole Foggy just in 8th. You can see the gaps there on the right hand side of your screen. 29 thousandths of a second between Dion Phillips and Nicole Foggy at the line. Here come the rest of them streaming across the line. John Roberts 13th, Baker 14th, Moons 15th, and Delman in 16th. And everybody else as well coming across the line. There's Adam Hedgecock finishing in 20th. Chris Wood, 28th place, just ahead of our pole sitter Robert Lundgren, who made a right mess at the start as well. And I don't think we've got too many more cars to come across the line. I think the last one might just be Lee Woodburn in the X sidecar. But Ben Gregory, Charles, apart from the contact with Christian Rose towards the end of the race, wasn't too much in the way of trouble for the Fitstyle Motorsports car, and he picks up what is his as he gets it. It's his 2nd win of the season. Yes.
Yeah, he won the 3rd race at Watkins earlier in the season. He was very happy about it then. I'm sure he'll be very happy about that now. I know that he'll feel bad about the contact with Christian. Obviously, we're not 100% sure whether that was down to netcode or whether there was actually contact there, but he's driven a great races, Ben. He'll be really chuffed with that. I'm not going to mention the Watkins race again because of what I did in that race, as we all know. But it's a good win for Fitstyle as well. I mean, I personally know that those guys put a lot of effort into all the series that they enter. Jack Stiles is their team manager as well, with Sam Fitzpatrick, who obviously one of our colleagues. And yeah, it's great to see the results paying off. And Ben's been putting a lot of time and effort into iRacing for years. I mean, we've all known him through the BSR series as well. So it's great to see it paying off.
Great job by them, and you can see that at the top of the order as we get the results up on screen. Ben Gregory wins the final race of the day here at Imola. 2nd for Simon Underhill, 4-second gap between them in the end. Then just half a second or so between Johnny Brandon and Christian Rose in 3rd and 4th. Richard Warmingham finishing in 5th. 6th for Michael Blake. Dion Phillips just ahead of Nicole Foggy. Just 24 thousandths of a second in it in the end when we get the official timing up. Michael Evdoka finishing in 9th. Josh Thompson in 10th. this is just my judgment, but I think this means that the championship will just about go to the final race meeting of the season at the Nürburgring. But I think it's literally a formality as long as Nicole Foggy doesn't have 3 DNFs. And I think in that case, Thompson would have to win all 3 races as well for him to have any chance. Steve Lavalley finishing in 11th. 12th for Luke Clark, the second of the AM drivers. John Roberts finishing in 13th place. He was at the front early on. Dave Baker, 14th. Ronald Moons in 15th place. 16th for Bart Delman. Paul Smith and Mark Woodhouse, the 2 teammates, 17th and 18th place. And then Jerome Kaiser gaining 15 spots to finish in 19th. 20th place for Adam Hedgecock. 21st for Jason Rowe. 22nd for Josh Rayfield. Steve Burke finishing in 23rd place. Paul Gosling in 24th. And then 25th for Steve Baxter. 26th for Lee Deemer. 27th for Robert Lundgren. 28th for Chris Wood. 29th for Lee Woodburn, 1 lap down. The last car, one lap down as well. So he will be the last car to get points. And then the cars that didn't finish the race. Miguel Freitas, 9 laps down. Nicolo Cuomo not having the best race at home. He finished in 31st, 12 laps down. And then Nate Simpson, 12 laps down along with Mike Gray. And Lane O'Connor out very early on indeed. So those are the 34 cars that finished the race. And of course, the next race meeting will be at the Nürburgring next week at the same time. We do have a driver waiting to join us for an interview, and it is the driver that looks set to finish in the runners-up spot in the championship. It's Josh Thompson, who finished in his best finish was a second place in race 1 and a second place in race 2 as well, I believe. And he joins us now. Hello.
Hello.
It was a pretty exciting first 2 races for you. You nearly got the win in race 1, but tell us about race 3, because it was a pretty chaotic start and you were able to make it through for the most part without too much damage.
I'm fuming about race 3. If you saw what happened at the start, I got absolutely... I got Netco with Baxter at the start and got speared off into the wall. That's why I had so much damage. So I was half lap behind, drove back up, got through other people. Did a move on Foggy around the outside of chicane, which Chaz thought was good earlier on, and so I did it again. So that was that, and then just dirty teamwork, just cost me and shoved me all the way back down the order, so I had to come back through again and just constantly got hit left, right and centre that race.
Well, I'm looking at it optimistically. I think you still have a chance. A chance for Nürburgring. Obviously, I know that you've discounted any hope, really.
Nah, I'm just going for wins.
But it was good though today. Race 1, you pushed Foggy all the way. It was close at one point, and then race 2, you had a pretty good battle with him to keep him behind towards the end.
Yeah, I'm just having to wring the neck out of it. You can look at the results and stuff. I'm the only BMW who's always consistently inside the top 10 without reverses. Chris Wood and Baxter do a good job getting it in there. But like Baker was saying and Christian in the Discord after race 1, because I was quite frustrated that to say I can keep up with a car what's so strong and has been proven to be strong. Like I said, it's a win in itself, but obviously I want to have a fair one-on-one battle with Nico in race 1 for a win. So that's the task at Nürburgring, but obviously just with lack of testing and me being sick and stuff like that, just never really helped.
Yeah, Nürburgring next week. Trying to remember back to the Expo how the BMW did around there. I know it was definitely better than the.
Yeah, it was 7th we got.
Yeah, so
it was like all Audis and stuff. So it's an Audi track, funny enough. So yeah, it should be all right actually. I think, to be honest, the BMW should be good around there. I've got a decent setup because obviously I helped with the GT500 preparation, so I've done quite a lot of laps around there as well. So hopefully we can just string it all together and just end it with a decent point haul. I want to go out with at least a win again. I've not had a proper win in a while, so it'd be quite nice to end the season with a win and just secure second really and just show what could have been.
Yeah, because I think Foggy picked up win number 8 today, but you're ahead in the podium front, and if you pick up 2 wins at Nürburgring next week, you'll be level with him, I think, in wins for the season. So there's still that to hold on to. Josh, it's been great, but before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, you guys for broadcasting. Awesome as always. Everyone at CQI really, so Baker, Rose, who raced tonight. Just I can't thank them enough for this year, really. Just letting me in the stable and stuff, and hopefully can bring it home for him in second.
Great. Well, thanks for taking the time to speak to us. Hard luck on race 3, but yeah, it was good. It was good in race 1 and race 2.
That's all right. Thank you, guys.
Josh Thompson there. Chaps, who do you want to go for? You've got a choice of Christian Rose or Dave Baker or Paul Smith.
We'll bring Paul in. He's been having an eventful evening this evening. Paul, you had a bit of a mixed
conversation there, don't you?
Apologies, buddy. We've had a bit of an eventful evening, really. We've seen you up there and out and about having battles and everything. What's your overall consensus tonight? Do you feel it went well?
3 top 20s. It should have been a top 10 in that second race, but I wasn't that quick around here today. Some good points, really. I can't complain too much. It's just a bit of fun now. I've got no championships to fight for, so why not just go for it and have a bit of a laugh? Next week will be chaos going through that arena section.
Well, obviously, it's all about enjoying the racing, so it's good to hear you taking that approach on it. Is the Nürburgring a track that you enjoy driving on? I mean, it's obviously going to be a bit different with so many cars on there, but is it something you're looking forward to?
I really don't like the Nürburgring, especially that first sector, because it just it entices people to do some really dodgy and dangerous moves. And whatever series it is, even in some of the top World Championship series, you see some questionable driving around there. And it just entices it because it's a Tilke designed first sector, so everybody just launches it down the inside and wipes everyone out. So it's going to be chaos, it's going to be fun, and we might get a result out of it.
Yeah, well, that's it. You got to, if you're a little bit further down the grid to begin with, then just sort of hold back and see if everyone else does the position sort of negating for you, really. Before you go, though, Paul, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to this evening?
Yeah, big mention to everybody who joined me on my stream. It was really nice of them to join. Also, thanks to Team Mad and to Mark as well for putting up with me as a team manager for this season of the World GT. And yeah, everybody involved in Team Mad, Calder Rescue, Phoenix Racing, and also Fanatec. Their affiliates are Team Mad for Fanatec, so check out their affiliate link on Facebook.
Brilliant stuff. Well, good as always to speak to you, Paul. Thanks very much. We'll speak to you again soon.
See you later.
Paul Smith there, always the gent, always happy for a chat. Who have we got next then, Adam?
We have. Let's go for Dave Baker, I think. In fact, we've got the two teammates, Baker and. In fact, actually, no, we've got our race 3 winner, Ben Gregory.
Yeah, we'll bring.
So.
Yeah, I'll bring Ben
in. We'll get him in here for a quick word. Ben, well done. Your second win of the season. And you did have to shake off Christian Rose at one point during the race, but after that, you had quite a big gap.
Yeah, it was. I made a decent gap. I was actually quite scared of Christian coming, and I feel awful because I honestly will hold my hands up on that, even if I have looked at it back and there was netcode, but it was a bit of a. Didn't hold it down to the inside as much as I could have, honestly. But I will hold my hands up for that. It was Christian's race, and he did deserve that, honestly. Kind of a bit annoyed at myself more than anything, but at least I got 0x as well, so some decent points at least.
Yeah, the evening didn't start too well, but then after that you were able to get a bit further forward, and the BMW didn't look too shabby around Imola today.
He was alright. First 2 races was just, yeah, that just got taken out instantly on the first race. Second race didn't even get to the start line before the green flag. There was a crash ahead of me. So yeah, that was a bit of an interesting one. It was an alright car, but I honestly think I could have done a bit better. I'm more looking forward to Nürburgring. I actually think I'm going to be a lot better there. So
yeah, we were asking. We were just speaking to Paul Smith earlier. He says that the arena section has all the prospects of causing some chaos at the start.
I'll agree with him on that. It's off camber for turn 2 and turn 3. So I think it's actually, if people haven't got their car set up right, they're probably going to be going very backwards. Yeah, it could be quite interesting. If people behave themselves, I actually think the chicane at the end of the lap is probably going to be one of the places where people make a few lunges, especially with 20-minute races. People are going to make every sort of move.
Great. Well, before he let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, everyone at Fistone, Michael, Dave Doker as well for being so bloody helpful as well. Same with Steve Burke as well. It's been awesome running with all the Fuss Vector guys and the rest of my team when they do turn up. It's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to actually do next season, to be quite honest.
Great. Well, well done on the win in race 3. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us.
Cheers.
We had a quick check a second ago as well, and it seems that Christian and Dave will be able for us to have a quick chat, so we'll bring them in as well. It's the two CQR boys. Christian, Dave, welcome to the booth. We hope you had a good evening. It seemed like you were doing a lot of running together tonight. Do you feel like it went well overall?
To a degree, yeah. I think race 1, 3rd and 4th, probably the best that we could have hoped for. Nicole and Josh are just on another level at the moment. They are just so fast and so consistent. But we had a fantastic battle with Johnny and Michael in race 1. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it's not been too great.
Yeah, we saw some an incident with Ben, obviously in race 3, which was the talking point for a good few minutes of that one. Do you feel it was like a netcode issue? Because we weren't sure at this end because the camera angle was on the inside of the corner, so we couldn't really tell because it was sort of looking through Ben's car at yours. I mean, do you feel it was netcode or do you think it was actual contact?
On my screen, it was contact. But if it is netcode, I still don't think the move was on. I think it was a bit of a desperate move. And it's probably cost me a win, which I'm not too happy about. I don't get a chance to fight to win for in too often. So yeah, it's a tough one to accept. So I thought that my pace was pretty good in that one. Yeah, it's a shame that happened, but still managed to salvage a fairly decent result from that.
Yeah, you did well to obviously battle back through, and like I say, it is hard to accept. I mean, as a driver, and it's not easy to have that slip away from you. But I mean, it's one of these where such sort of closely it's such a closely contested championship, isn't it? Where people do get desperate and these moves happen. It's just a case of seeing what you can improve from the next one, or seeing what you can try and sort of claw back, isn't it? Really, it's just don't let it knock you off the horse, sort of thing, isn't it?
It's when something like that happens, it turns very much into a damage limitation. You know, you try to maximise the points that not only yourself but for the team. You know, I think we're second in the team's championship, so I think we possibly can overhaul XVR. But I think it's going to be a tough ask. But you at the end of the season, you look back on moments like that and think, "Oh, what if?" But that's part of my racing.
Yeah, certainly is. Dave, I know you're probably sick of my voice after the weekend, but how did you feel your evening went, sort of personally?
I think, as Christian said, race 1, we obviously showed we can get a bit of pace out of the Ferrari. It's tough against some of the other cars, but we give it a damn good go, and we can get results when the luck goes our way. Really, I think that's what it comes down to with a very tightly contested grid. Little incidents, be they netcode, be they contact, or whatever, can easily put you on the back foot, and trying to get past these guys again is very, very difficult. So maybe didn't maximize the evening like we hoped, but overall, yeah, I think it went okay. It went okay. We've had better, but we've definitely had far worse.
Yeah, well, it's like I say, it's a long game, isn't it, with these championships now? It's just trying to get consistent points. We've seen, obviously, you guys have always got the pace up there. I mean, from previous seasons as well, you've always had those red Ferraris near the front, so it's good to see it continuing. And are you both looking forward to Nürburgring? Is it a track either of you really enjoy, or is it one to just sort of just get it over and done with?
No, I quite like it. It's got a nice flow to it when you get the cars kind of working right. The first sort of sector, sort of Mercedes arena bit's always a little bit tough, but once you're out the back of it, then it's a nice little track. Should present some good overtaking opportunities. Drive out of the hairpin is going to be critical, also at the last corner, and I think that's where, again, we might struggle. Not to harp on about that too much, but yeah, it should be good fun.
And you, Christian?
Yeah, I enjoy the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. I think the car's gone fairly well there. Of recent seasons when we've been there, not as many long straights as I'd hope,
Yeah, so if we could race the last round of Monza, I'd be a lot happier. But yeah, no, turn up and see how we go. Hopefully, we've got good pace.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we all wish you the best of luck, and we may speak to you then. Obviously, with it being the close of the season, we'll obviously have a chat with a few people and see what they think of it. But from now, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you go?
Yep. Just once again, thanks to everyone within CQR who not only participate but also help to run the series. Mark at Racehub, long-time supporter of not only CQR but also the series itself. Shame I couldn't personally catch up with him at the weekend, but I know that a few of you did, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's always good fun to catch up with him.
Yeah, definitely. I'll vouch for that as well. It was great to see Mark and have a good laugh with him. We haven't had to go on the Sims for a bit as well. It's always good.
Yeah, and that's about it. Yeah, and obviously thanks to yourself for once again providing great coverage. I look forward to watching it back.
Thank you very much. So from us then, we'll hopefully see you next week, and obviously wish you the best of luck, mate.
Thanks so much.
Christian and Dave there, always the classy gents that they are, CQR, and like I say, big shout out to Mark from Racehub at Brands Hatch. He does a fantastic job of providing a massive amount of entertainment for a lot of people, and I don't know whether you've been there yourself, Adam, but the simulators they've got there are absolutely top notch, and they provide some real sort of focusing driving from these guys, and it certainly shakes up the order a bit.
Oh yeah, I need to have a little bit of a visit there, I think, but yeah, and just for a moment there, we had Chaz and Dave in the commentary booth. Yeah, that was a exciting moment. But yeah, that is, I believe, it in terms of the interviews. Yes, it is. So
yeah.
That gives us a great opportunity to wrap it up. I'll bring Alex in for the final time. Obviously, he had a few technical issues in the break between race 1 and race 2, and then in race 3. But
Imola went again during the interviews as well, just to be a pain in the butt. So yeah, I've just been staying quiet, trying to subtly fix these ready for later on's broadcast. So yeah, just what you want on a Monday.
Yeah, Monday. At least you get Monday out of the way pretty quickly. But yeah, and that brings us on nicely to the fact that we'll be back later on tonight at just after 1 o'clock in the morning for round 3 of the Ritmatech Sports Car Series. They head to the Belle Isle Street Circuit, so I think that's good enough reason for anybody to stay up wherever you are in the world or whatever time zone you're in and join us for that one. And as I said, we'll be underway at 1 o'clock for that one. Chaz, final thought from you. Championship looks just about still on going into the final race meeting at the Nürburgring, but really looking forward to that one. That should be a great race meeting week.
Yeah, it should be really good fun, actually. I'm just looking at the standings now. There's been a post in their Facebook group about what's been updated. So they have said there are 224 points to ask for. It is obviously a big ask for Josh, but it's not impossible. In the AM Championship as well, actually, it's getting pretty fruity. Mark Woodhouse is leading that. He's only by 56 points, with Simon Underhill only 11 points behind that, with Adam Hedgecock in the middle. So that could really be mixed up over the course of 3 races. So we'll have to try and keep our eye on that. I reckon that Mark may hold on to that, but well, you never know, do you, with these boys? I just personally wanted to give a quick shout out to Mr. Jay Rayfield, actually, Josh Rayfield's father, who I also met on the weekend in Racehub with Mark. Josh, unfortunately, wasn't able to be there, but Jay obviously showed a massive amount of support for this series and for Apex as well, doing the commentary. So it was another sort of great name to add to the list of people that we've met in person. So I just wanted to say thanks to Jay for being such a star and obviously providing Josh with the support as well to get where he is in motorsport. So it's great to see.
Great, and I think that's a good note to end. We'll be back next week then for the next instalment and the final instalment of the season in the World GT Championship in association with Racehub and Simmortal. And we'll see if Nicole Foggy can do enough to become the champion. Josh Thompson, we spoke to him. He'll be pushing him all the way. And make sure you can join us for that one. We'll be back in a few hours for the Ritmatech Sports Car Series. But for now, from me, Chaz, and from Alex on the cameras, it's goodbye from Imola.